Exclusive. Trump OKs Chevron to restart oil operations in Venezuela. In a surprising turn of events, the Trump administration has granted Chevron the green light to resume oil extraction in Venezuela. This decision marks a significant shift in the White House's stance towards the socialist regime in Venezuela, as reported by sources familiar with the situation. While the specifics of this agreement remain somewhat vague, it appears to stem from recent conversations involving President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. This development coincides with a recent prisoner exchange that successfully freed all 10 American citizens who had been held by the Venezuelan authorities. This situation raises important questions about the implications of U.S. foreign policy and its impact on international relations. Could this move signal a broader strategy to engage with Venezuela? Or is it merely a tactical decision influenced by recent diplomatic negotiations? As we delve deeper into this topic, it's crucial to consider the potential consequences of such actions. What do you think about the U.S. government's approach to Venezuela? Do you believe that resuming oil operations is a step in the right direction? Or does it risk legitimizing a controversial regime? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Trump's new license for Chevron. A shift in U.S. policy towards Venezuela. Imagine a wrench thrown into U.S. foreign policy quietly. The Trump administration has just greenlit a major shift in its approach toward Venezuela, secretly renewing Chevron's license to operate in the oil-rich nation. This move marks a stark departure from earlier sanctions aimed at isolating Nicolas Maduro's regime, instead acknowledging the complex dance between energy geopolitics and human rights concerns. This isn't just about oil. It's about recalibrating U.S. strategy when ideological principles clash with practical realities. The house of cards we constructed. Here's the puzzle. The new license allows Chevron to work with Venezuela's state-run oil company PDVSA again, but with a twist. Payment will be in barrels of oil, not cash. The U.S. claims this prevents Maduro from lining his pockets. Experts? They're scratching their heads, pointing out this arrangement effectively gives Caracas the ability to sell that oil on the global market. As former PDVSA executive Juan Fernandez bluntly put it, oil is cash, they'll just sell it elsewhere. But why the secrecy? The specific license, a loophole that lets the White House bypass public scrutiny with dishing out permissions, was crafted to avoid political fallout. Yet one insider revealed that negotiations in Caracas this week involved tweaking contracts to ensure compliance. The State Department insists this is purely about recouping Chevron's $3 billion debt, which the Biden administration had previously reduced. Meanwhile, analysts note that prior to sanctions, foreign firms were funneling Venezuela around $800 million monthly. Is this newest deal just a backdoor reimbursement? From hardline to pragmatism, Chevron's role is pivotal. It once produced 25% of Venezuela's oil, a number that plummeted when sanctions froze operations. The country's output, once a staggering 3.2 million barrels per day, crashed to merely 400,000 in 2020, before foreign companies began aiding recovery. Now, with this license, Chevron's return might unlock a pathways for Spain's Repsol, Italy's Eni, and others to follow suit. The $3 billion question. Here's the controversy. Proponents claim this deal safeguards U.S. energy security without bankrolling Maduro. Critics argue it's a fig leaf, combining the oligarchic regime's oil under global sanctions while enabling the U.S. to justify indirect support. The State Department's denial that this aids Caracas rings hollow to experts, as any oil entering international markets still boosting Venezuela's battered economy. Shifts in power dynamics are equally telling. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, former Special Envoy Richard Grenell's ideological ally, is now steering policy, prioritizing energy strategy over hardliner tactics. Back-channel talks reportedly persist between U.S. diplomats in Bogota and Venezuelan officials like National Assembly head Jorge Rodriguez, with whispers of potential embassy reopenings, though no official moves. A crack in the window. Industry watchers predict this deal sets a precedent. Public scrutiny will eventually force transparency as Chevron's oil reaches Gulf Coast refineries. Questions linger. Is U.S. foreign policy now prioritizing crude over human rights? Will this embolden other companies to follow, risking entanglement with Venezuela's contested government? The unanswered question As Chevron resumes operations, one debate rages: can economic practicality coexist with demands for democratic reform? Venezuelan opposition and human rights groups warn that even limited engagement legitimizes Maduro's rule, potentially undermining efforts to restore free elections. Others argue isolation has failed, and pragmatic engagement may be the only path forward. So, here's the curious paradox. A deal meant to squeeze Maduro may instead give him breathing room. As the US walks this tightrope, one thing is clear. This isn't just about oil. It's about whether carrots ever outpace sticks in foreign policy. Where do you stand? Share your thoughts below. This story, updated on July 26, 2025, reflects ongoing shifts in a region where geopolitics and resources collide in unexpected ways. Venezuela's PDVSA ready to resume work under previous US terms. Imagine a pivotal moment in international energy politics, where Venezuela's state oil company, PDVSA, stands on the brink of resuming operations under terms reminiscent of the Biden era. This development that significantly impact global oil markets and Venezuela's economic stability. But here's where it gets controversial. Will the return of PDVSA to previous operational terms benefit the country or inadvertently bolster President Nicolas Maduro's regime? The logo of PDVSA, prominently displayed at its headquarters in Caracas, symbolizes the hopes and challenges of Venezuela's energy sector. Recently, PDVSA has been gearing up to restart its joint ventures, contingent upon the US government's approval. According to company sources, PDVSA anticipates that the US will authorize a full return to the earlier licensing mechanism. This means that if partners are permitted to contribute to payments and engage in swaps, Venezuela can secure a crucial revenue stream. Over the past few years, Venezuela has managed to stabilize its oil output at approximately 1 million barrels per day. Despite the ongoing sanctions, the country has maintained its exports, primarily to independent Chinese refiners. Interestingly, a secondary tariff imposed by the US this year on buy of Venezuelan oil has not been enforced, adding another layer of complexity to the situation. The US State Department is reportedly preparing new authorizations for key PDVSA partners, starting with Chevron, one of the world's largest oil companies. This move marks a significant shift from the pressure tactics employed by the Trump administration, which led to the cancellation of oil licenses in March. The new permits are expected to facilitate a smoother return to operations for PDVSA's partners, potentially setting the stage for broader economic engagement. President Maduro has expressed optimism about the renewed efforts to keep Chevron involved in Venezuela. He highlighted the company's participation in working groups aimed at expanding operations once again. However, the road ahead is fraught with challenges. The US has repeatedly emphasized that no funds from Venezuelan exports will reach Maduro's coffers, though the practical enforcement of this ban remains uncertain. Historically, PDVSA has ensured that its partners' cargoes do not leave without receiving mandatory royalties and tax payments. Given this precedent, it's reasonable to assume that the same principles will apply in this new phase of operations. One insider noted, "The situation is not going to be different this time," underscoring PDVSA's commitment to maintaining its financial integrity. The arrangement between PDVSA and Chevron during the Biden era involved a three-legged swap. In this setup, Chevron supplied diluents to PDVSA, which then delivered oil cargoes for Chevron to export to the US, enabling debt repayment and dividend distribution. For European partners like Eni, Repsol, and Marella Prom, the swaps were more straightforward, involving nearly pure oil for fuel exchanges with minimal debt repayment. PDVSA views these arrangements as the only viable option for resuming oil exports to the US and Europe under current sanctions. In April, PDVSA had to cancel oil cargoes assigned to Chevron due to unresolved payment issues, highlighting the delicate nature of these partnerships. This new approach to energy sanctions has once again divided Venezuela's opposition. While some leaders welcome Chevron's potential return to full operations, others fear it could inadvertently support Maduro's regime. As PDVSA prepares for this significant shift, the international community watches closely, eager to see how these developments unfold. The complex interplay of geopolitics, economics, and energy policy in this scenario underscores the far-reaching implications of even small changes in regulatory frameworks. As we navigate this evolving landscape, one thing is clear: the future of PDVSA's operations will have far-reaching consequences for both Venezuela and the global oil market.